To Ghana's critical December 7 general elections, Deputy Minority Whip in Parliament Ahmed Ibrahim has expressed firm opposition to a proposed recall of Parliament by Majority Leader Alexander Afenyo marking in a formal request to Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin to reconvene the House to address urgent businesses, including tax exemptions for the One District, One Factory program and ratifications of key mining lease agreements. On November 22, Afenyo marking outlined a series of pressing issues that he believes require immediate attention before the elections, suggesting a proposed date of 28th and 29th November. However, Ahmed Ibrahim maintains that this period is ill-suited for parliamentary activities due to ongoing election campaigns in the various constituencies by MPs and their presidential candidates. He spoke on 12 Live this afternoon with my colleague KOJ.
It's just 1 or 2 days work. It is not like the normal budget where we spend 2 weeks to do. So technically, and even if we approve it, it will not be implemented until after 31st December. So why the rush?
So you prefer after the elections?
Recently, at least for nothing at all. 9 December, 10 December, 11 December, this will be free to come and do it, and after that we can do it. But then that you are calling Parliament to come, members of Parliament to come from their various constituencies before 7 December will be a constitutional, you'll be joking with the Constitution. Don't think that election is the responsibility of the Electoral Commission. Members of Parliament must be in their constituencies for their constituencies to learn from them. If there is anything, members of Parliament must be there to talk to their constituencies to make sure that we maintain the peace of this country. So why do you want all of us to come to Parliament? Anyway, they have their DC and they have their ministers. But we are in opposition. The opposition member of Parliament is a parliamentary candidate at the same time, is a member of Parliament at the same time, is a minister at the same time, is a DC at the same time, and he is the president at the same time in his constituency. So we don't have the luxury of having DC to campaign in our absence. We don't have the luxury of getting ministers to campaign in our absence. We don't have the luxury of getting other CEOs to campaign in our absence.
Ahmed Ibrahim added that the proposed urgent matters outlined by Afenyo marking does not overshadow the importance of engaging with constituents ahead of the elections.
Honorable Afenyo marking should know that we have less than 2 weeks to elections.
Yeah.
And elections are time-bound. The vote on account that is talking of, the approval of Supreme Court judges that is talking of, the tax waivers that is talking of. In fact, none of them is as urgent as the elections on December 7th. And that's why I vehemently disagree with him.
Should the Speaker of Parliament do this recall? Would your side of the House attend?
I don't think the Speaker, as I know, who has partaken in elections for almost 8 times in this country, there's no way he is too so low for this constitutional blunder that Afenyo marking is trying to say.
Member of Parliament for Bana and Deputy Minority Whip Ahmed Ibrahim. Let's go on the phone line and get some governance perspective. But before then, we know we are in the spirit of elections, and every election year, the Peace Council leads the signing of a peace pact for the political parties. Now, this year's signing of peace pact is scheduled for Thursday. The NDC had earlier stated they were not going to sign the peace pact until certain issues are met. Before we talk about what plans the National Peace Council is doing for that, let's speak to Dr. Jonathan Asante Ochere. He is a political science lecturer, or I should say analyst as well, at the University of Cape Coast. Doc, good evening to you. Thank you very much for your time tonight on 505.
Good evening, Valentina.
So we are here again in less than 2 weeks. Let's say next week Saturday exactly, we are going to the polls. But a week today, those of us in the journalism business and security and others will be participating and the special voting. The Majority Leader Alexander Afenyo has petitioned the Speaker to recall Parliament. He says that the Speaker, the law lies in his bosom, to forego the mandatory 7 days and recall Parliament for this 2-day emergency sitting. He's proposing Thursday and Friday, 28th and 29th, so that members of Parliament can come in quickly, do what he calls urgent government business, tax waivers for one district, one factory, passing of some bills, and then the appropriation for the end of the year, so that members can go back to their constituencies and campaign. The Deputy Minority Whip, Ahmed Ibrahim, thinks that this is not feasible because, look, your seat is on threats. There are people on the grounds. Nobody is going to leave campaign and come to Parliament. Do you think that their timing is suitable for MPs to come back and do what they have voted for?
Well, let me say good evening to your listeners and good stuff. I cannot speak for all the parliamentarians. Of course, there are some parliamentary seats that by its own nature and inclination, are safe for those who have won.
Yes.
And so they can afford to go to Parliament, on that. But there are so many others, that are under threat, and you leave your constituency and it becomes a problem. And at this crucial hour, I don't think that these categories of MPs that I've mentioned will want to, take that particular bid or offer. It will be very difficult. And so at the end of the day, the Speaker will do the needful or may want to do the needful, but they may not have the numbers, even from the majority side, so to speak, to conduct business. So it will be, much ado about nothing. What I foresee as being the fear of the MPP or the current majority is that there is a higher possibility of their losing Parliament come 7th of December after, declarations here and there.
How?
So based upon data.
Okay, what is the data saying?
If you look at global analytics, and even economic intelligence unit solution in terms of their proclamation, it shows that the minority, that the NDC, is likely to win both Parliament and the executive.
But
if that scenario is the case, if that scenario is the case, then you will see that they will want to have these businesses done before the 7th of December. Do you get the political aspect of the twist I'm giving to it?
Yes.
Yes. So if they don't do that, for example, you want to give a tax waiver of around $350 million. Once the 7th of December elections are done, and you are no longer in majority, yes, you are in the 8th Parliament.
But that will take
Parliament
effect
will
after
rise somewhere 7th of
the midnight.
7th of January.
Yes, the midnight.
But you see, the morality, it will be difficult to get something of that sort passed. You see, it will rather be the call of the succeeding government, whether it's at Abamio or Mr. Mahama, to take that decision of giving tax waiver or not. So something of that sort is not, it is urgent on the banner of the majority, but not on the minority, because it is going to come at a cost to the new government.
What if maybe what the Kumasi Technical Universities were proposing by their data, because they put Dr. Baumia at a 49% as ahead of Mahama in the elections? What if what they are proposing is what comes to pass and maybe the NPP wins a lot of the majority seats in Parliament?
Well, if you are that comfortable and confident, then you can decide to hold on these issues and win and have that moral authority and go ahead and do that.
But again, they say that these things are law, and ordinarily this would have been done before Parliament goes on recess, especially the monies that we have to pay public sector workers, the teachers, the security agencies, before a new government comes into effect and maybe they bring their own budget. So that is the most important maybe amongst these ones?
Well, those issues will not be a matter of contention, or they wouldn't have any bone of contention over that.
Why?
But there are other controversial bills, like the one that I mentioned, you understand, which will cause that controversy and a rift between the two opposing sides. If it is a matter of those in terms of appropriation and those that will ensure the salaries of workers are paid, I think that wouldn't be much of a problem on both sides, because they know the strict implications of that. That aside, there are other controversies. So you see, how come the LI 2462 is not an emergency? It's not part of the urgent government business. Meanwhile, you're giving your word to organized labor that this thing will be what? It will be what is it called?
Repealed when Parliament.
Repealed. Yeah. So it is not part of the urgent matters of government.
Not at all.
So what? You see the deceit in between the lines. Some of these things will go to harm the MPP in the election, because you have deceived the people.
Well, we'll see. Maybe the Speaker may recall Parliament from tomorrow. We don't know.
Is likely to do so. Is likely to do so as a way of showing that he has the goodwill of the people, and that is not trying to undo anyone. It is just that you felt that this is the way to go. You see, Valentina, imagine that this issue of quorum used not to be the case, because Parliament, they said that they are masters of their own rules. But you have allowed the judiciary to interfere in this. So here is the case: you will go, you don't have the quorum to take transactions or take business or decisions. Then people will have used their fuel, they will have come to lodge and other things at the cost of the nation. When you reconvene, the state spends money, not less than 2 million, I'm told. So you cannot be doing, you need to ensure that you have done your background check, background calls, get a consensus, have a list of people who are ready and willing to come to Parliament to do those businesses before you ask for something of that sort. Other than that, it will just be much ado about nothing.
Well, we know for sure that the NDC MPs are not turning up because they say they are not coming until after the elections.
If they don't come, the MPs and DCs, let's say those who are MPs, they also not want to come.
But they have 137 plus 1, so 138. They should be able to.
They wouldn't come, my dear Valentina. They wouldn't come, because to come means that you are giving advantage to the NDC.
Depending on the constituency, because
we know. Yes, depending on the constituency. So the dynamics are, I think Mr. Afenyo miscalculated. He never thought that this was going to be a gargantuan lion that he was going to bring home. Now you have victory. You have not won the battle.
That's interesting. I'm sure later on, as we move on, we'll do some analysis of some of the seats, because I can just remember about 100 of the 275 seats. You know that the gap between the NDC and NPP as to how they won is very limited. So yes, they would want to close up this gap. And again, we have 2 days to the signing of the peace pact led by the National Peace Council. The NDC have stated categorically that they're not going to be part of this. Yet they have been sent invitation by the National Peace Council. They gave reasons they were not going to be part. Let me pick your thoughts briefly before I let you go. How important is the signing of this peace pact just 12 days to the elections?
Well, the signing of the peace pact is a symbolic gesture that you are ready and willing to give peace and peace a chance, in the sense that whether it goes your way, it does not go your way, you are willing and ready to succumb to the tenets of democracy. The other part, you want to be part and parcel of the whole process and ensure that the very constituency that you want to rule, which is Ghana, it's not left in a disaster. We all want that peace. See, when you don't deal with matters of that nature, and you are only interested in a symbolic gesture that things like of that sort bring, and that is the stalemate you are going to have. people will be talking about the hypocrisy. I ask myself, the IGP says that it's going to ensure that Ghana is not left in tatters. It's going to ensure the peace. The IGP, Dr. Dan Pare wants to convince me that after in South, what's it called, Techiman South, he does not have the mandate to investigate that matter. As a police IGP, he doesn't have the mandate. So that there is a certain power beyond the limit. If that is the case, then the NDC wouldn't want to be part. They wouldn't want to be part. It is just unfortunate that we have to get to that level. The flag bearer has demonstrated his willingness to do so. But his followers are also preventing him from doing so. Others may call about leadership, but the flag bearer is an individual. You need these followers to become solid and strong. So if these followers are not, they don't seem to see, they don't seem to have that alignment with you, then your hands are tied behind you, because you cannot be a superhuman being. You need this solid, strong support base to be able to do so. I know very well that till the NDC win the election, that particular case will come up. That investigation ought to be done. That's why I get disappointed in the president that, look, it was through democracy that these people unfortunately had their lives taken away from them. Use the same democratic principle to give them justice. What is so difficult about this? What is so difficult about this? You want your party to lose the election, and once there is a new government in charge and asking for investigation to be done, then you will be saying that, oh, your people are being harassed. What is it called? Witch hunting here and there. Look, if you care to know, when Mr. Kufuor took over, there was something we called Reconciliation Commission. In those years, who warned out that you could call Mr. Rollins to come before a commission of inquiry to respond to questions? But it happened. So I am of the view that the president, you see, is at the lowest ebb of his political career. He did not do so well. Korea also West Wagon issue is still, because there will be people who are calling for justice. Once power changes hands, it is Attorney General that will be prosecuted. And this time around, if you send an issue there at this point in time, you do not expect that Attorney General, who is not Minister for Justice or something of that sort, to prosecute his own self. I don't think he will want to do that.
But will not signing the peace pact affect the fortunes electorally of the NDC?
It sends a bad signal, though. Like it sends a bad signal. But
like
there
they want
are
to
so
create
many
violence.
other people who would think that it serves the Peace Council well. It's a message sent that they should be able to do the right thing. I've listened to them. They say that they don't have a kind of mandate that they are asking them to have or to prove. But the point is that you also had every reason to call on government to say that for the sake of peace and the continuity of our democracy, we are calling on you in public, the president, to institute, a commission of inquiry into the death of Techiman South. What would have been wrong with that? You would have said that, yes, if the government does not do that, it is beyond your mandate. But not pass any comment. I don't see how I'm going to blame the NDC on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doc, very grateful that you joined us. Dr. Jonathan Asante Ocho is a political analyst and senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. Let's stay on